You went from handling a 600 crore business to 60,000 crore business. So what is the difference in the timeline, like from 100 to 500 and 500 to 10,000 probably, and 10,000 to 60,000?
You spoke about your promotion or increment only twice in your career. You also tested people if they stay in the organization or if they are ready for the next step by delaying their promotions for a year or something like that kind of thing. But from an employee point of view, how do you understand that maybe you are being tested and you wait for that? Because in my current role, I also felt that I was not awarded for what I deserved from my perspective.
All of us feel that way. You ask anyone secretly, all of them will say, I'm much better than what others think of me, right?
People who have completed the leap program and who are lateral entrants, does that make a difference?
My main reasons of leaving McKinsey to get to ABG was lifestyle and time with family.
When I was going through a LinkedIn ID, it felt like it's made from ChatGPT. So everything is so sequentially laid. So just wanted to understand in detail about your career journey. One good part is I know how much you like to interact with young talent and kind of mentor them and give them career insights, probably that you have through your wealth of experience. So we'll start with your introduction and then your perfect ChatGPT LinkedIn ID.
On paper, I've had the sort of the perfect MBA life, right? I was an engineer, then I went to IIM Ahmedabad, then I went to McKinsey, then I came to ABG. I worked with the chairman for 5 years, and before I turned 40, I became CEO of a business in the Birla group, and now I'm leading a $6 billion business in the group. To me, the journey has been a lot about how I've made some of the choices. Like I said, for me, my anchor has always been family and ensuring I'm able to impact people around me. So a lot of the decisions I've taken have sort of been shaped by that. So I started interacting with young cohorts for I think about 8-10 years back. I felt this is the time where you need the right advice the most. And typically that doesn't come because you don't have access to people who have seen things from a little distant perspective. And hence I started spending time with different cohorts across different B schools, mentoring many of them. I also learn a lot because I get to get a feel of what people are on, and I think it keeps me young.
You spoke about taking early career decisions. So just wanted to understand what were some probably earlier career decisions that is still giving you disproportionate returns. If you could just think back retrospectively.
So, I think the first, I would say, important decision was joining an MBA. I did my engineering. I got into a company called Analog Devices. It was one of the 4 companies in that time which was making microprocessors, right? So I wouldn't say it was the NVIDIA of today, but it was in that league where it was as high tech as it gets. I was doing well. I was in the Bangalore design office, got posted to the US, and things were going well. I was reasonably also an extrovert. Or at least I came across as an extrovert, so there was a chance that I could get into marketing in that company. And before going to the US, I had given CAT, and I got admission into Ahmedabad. I was in 2 minds, why should I come back? Life is looking good. I'm in the US. I'll probably get into marketing or product development and grow my journey from there. But my dad was very persistent. He was an army soldier, but he was very persistent. He kept sending me articles of why IIM Ahmedabad is great, why the placement is fantastic, X, Y, and Z. And I came back and decided to do the MBA from there. After that, the second decision was joining McKinsey. The only thing I was clear of after doing my MBA was that I don't want to go into finance. But I was not sure of which sector. So McKinsey was probably the best bet because you didn't have to take a sector choice. So I went there. 10 years, I think fantastic years. And then when our sons came along, I realized that consulting life is not going to be sustainable, especially as you grow senior. You have to travel irrespective of what sectors you work in. and I want to spend time with my family and my son, so I decided to move. ABG came along. Again, I think there's a role with the chairman office, so I thought, look, this is a exposure. I didn't know much about the group back then, but I said working with Mr. Birla is fantastic. I met him once for the interview, and I just loved what I saw and felt. So I decided to join ABG. And I think since it's been 15 years, I'm here. From exposures that made what I am today, I think two decisions I think which were the best, which have shaped me the most. First one was in McKinsey when there was a study which came up in Africa, right? And it was with one of the partners whom no one liked to work with. I was that time a young engagement manager, and in McKinsey we used to get a log of all studies coming up, and you had to show your interest. So I was going through it, and my wife was looking at the computer, and she said, Africa. So I said, you want to try? She said, yeah, it would be fun. And she was the author, so she could travel with me. So we said, okay, let's go for it. And I think that was one of the best studies I have done, because I was a young engagement manager who went for this project to Africa. 1 year I was there. No partner ever came there because it's too far to get to, so I would pretty much like the partner on the study. Great client exposure. I could drive what needed to be done. And professionally, I grew the maximum. And my wife and I, we enjoyed a lot in Africa in those days. Every month, we would go off on a plane, small 5-seater charter, and see some safari game park and come back. So it was like a fantastic experience. The second decision was when I finished my stint at my chairman office. I had to take a call on what to go for, and this role came up to head the insulators business. In the context of the group, it's probably one of the smallest businesses, fairly inconsequential at a group level, but it was one of the most complex businesses to look at. And I said, look, I come from no functional background, right? I've been an advisor all my life. So I decided to take on that role, which was small and tough, but I thought I will learn a lot. And I would get enough freedom to try different things, because it's small. Even if I make a mistake, no one will really get after me, right? So I took that plunge of heading that business. It was a tough 5 years, but I think it's shaped me and as a leader a lot more than any other role that I've done before.
You spoke about trying different things, right? So let's just say if somebody has aspiration to eventually become a CEO, almost all of them after their MBA journey, they'll be getting into different roles. Some of them will go into sales, some will go into marketing, some will become consultants eventually. Is it possible that all roads eventually will lead you there if you sequence things right? Or to have that business acumen, you need to probably ladder things strategically.
So look, I would like to say that almost all roads can lead to that role, right? I don't think there is one perfect way. There are 3 things that you need to probably look at, right? One is obviously, if you want to be a P&L leader or a CEO, you need to understand business, right? You can't just be unidimensional. So no matter where you start, are you spending time and looking at the larger picture? So for example, I spend a lot of time with our ABGLPs every year, on their learning charter and what are they learning. And one of the things I push them is because very soon you start working on a particular project or a particular function. And many of them don't look at the entire picture of what's happening, which is possible to get to. So I think one is you need to develop your broader business acumen irrespective of what route you take. Second is people skills. I think, look, most of you who are getting to good B schools have the basic IQ level. Okay, that's not going to be a differentiator. What is going to be a differentiator as you grow is your people skills, how you interact with people, and how do you get people to deliver their best. That is what is going to make the thing. So that and how you work on your people skills is the second important thing. The third, I think, is overall your attitude. I have always followed an approach where I said, look, I am not going to go where most of my batch is going. I'll try and go in a different direction. Where the crowd is going is not my path. I will go and make a difference where not too many people are going. So for example, even at ABG, when I was looking at what business to move in, so 2015, 2016 was the time. You know, the fashion industry, the finance industry was probably a lot more exciting. Even within ABG, most people would look at those sectors because they were the cool sectors. And I felt, look, manufacturing is the one sector which is a fundamental sector of the economy and is not attracting, in general, talent as much as it should. And let me go there and see if I can make a difference. And that's what I sort of decided to move to insulators, and last few 10 years has been in that journey. So I think, so to your question, all paths can lead to it, but it depends on how you develop yourself and how you grow as a person. And go through the inflection points of being a team member to a manager to a leader, right? There are three different mindsets, and the faster you can make those transitions, the better.
You also openly spoke about how trying helps, right? You should try different things. Can you share some anecdotes where you failed but you learned a lot, and that will be very empowering for them to listen to also.
At Hindalco, we, as part of a culture change, one of the things we started celebrating is we failed, we learned. So we actually have awards annually in some of our units where we celebrate failures and the learnings from failures. Not celebrate failures, I would say, but learning from failures. Having said that, you know, actually, I feel when you look back, I don't think there's any failure which jumps up of saying, oh, I failed, right? Because I think this is a continuum. It feels like a failure when some setback comes your way. For example, when I joined the insulators business, you know, I joined it when the investment cycle in the country had reached its peak, and you know, it was just sort of, the market was falling like crazy. And it was very tough, right? Because no matter what you did, the performance kept slipping, right? In terms of financial performance. Having said that, I thought we were doing the right things as a business. We were making a difference on things that mattered. On some of the, you know, the three priorities apart from the business results that I was focusing on, which was safety, operational improvement, and portfolio change. On all three, we made a big change. And I think to me that just kept going. So I don't think, you know, look, failures will come and go. It's okay. You know, as long as you're learning and you think you're doing the right thing. The one important thing which I have always tried to follow is, look, be open to inputs. If someone has a better idea, you know, I'm quite shameless when it comes to asking for help, right? In the group, ABG is a big group. We have a lot of corporate functions. Whenever I was in trouble, I would reach out saying, look, can you help me with this? And people would come and help you, and you know, that's good. If their idea is better than yours, I have no problem with that, right? As long as it helps. So I think as long as you're doing that, it's okay. You know, things will go wrong, which is part of the game.
Backstage during lunch, I was interacting with a couple of them. We visit a lot of B schools to create content. So there also we get some sort of similar flavor of these questions ping pong to us almost all the time. Just wanted to ask you this, say the same question, right? Is it true that after you enter an organization, your B school tag does not matter after that? Like, it doesn't count when it comes to promotions probably, or it's just how much your output and skills are?
B school is a bit like a finishing school today, right? Where you get an opportunity to get into some of the better companies in the country. And then what happens to you from there depends on what you do there, right? Your ranks, your track record doesn't make a difference. But your learning makes a big difference, right? In terms of how you approach life in your company. And I think that to me is the most important part. So, yeah.
You have worked closely with Mr. Birla, right? And you meet a lot of people. You work with young students also who has just come in the ABGLB program. If you have to spot high performers right early on, what are some things that right off the bat come to your mind?
You know, at least the things that I look for typically is, one is the passion. Right? Are they really keen to do stuff? Second is, you know, are you okay to handle, I wouldn't say failures, but setbacks? Right? Because there will be points where, how do you react under a setback is, I think, an important element. Some people just get into the negative cycle. So for me, one of the key things which I look at is this a person who can look at things positively all the time? because there'll be enough things that will come your way which will say the whole world is falling down. Like for example, even in McKinsey when I was there was a large part of our badge which would always crib about why things are bad at McKinsey. And I would say, look, you are in the best company you thought there exists, and you're doing well, you're earning well. Why should you only focus on what is bad? So I think the positivity and ability to look at the positives and opportunities is sort of the second thing. The third I would say is the ability or the humility to ask for help. Until your B school, a lot of focus on all of you is around your individual excellence, right? Because finally it's your marks that count. But when you get to work, and some of you have come with work experience, so you sort of have already got a feel of it, is when, at work, your individual brilliance is important, but the collective performance is more important, right? So it's better to be part of a successful team than being a super performer in a losing team, right? So I think that mindset is something that I look for very closely. Is he or she a team player who can work with others, take help if required, has the humility to say, I don't know this, can I learn, and build from there.
I wanted to talk about ABG's culture now, since I wanted to speak more about your current role and what are some of the key levers that you drive. You are a big proponent of culture. I've gone through your LinkedIn. You're active there a lot, so I understand that you value culture a lot, right? So what makes you stay in ABG, and why is it distinct from other organizations?
The things which have, so like I said, when I joined ABG my role with the chairman office, I was not sure how long I'll last here. I was very clear I wanted to work with Mr. Birla and have that exposure, but I was not sure whether I'll stick on for long or how long. But I don't think I've ever thought of leaving ABG ever since, because I've just enjoyed my time here. The things that stand out for me, one is it's got a little longer term vision. We have a purpose of saying, look, we want to make a larger change in the country. And now we are a global company, so in the parts of the world that we operate in. And that's a very important one. Hence, we may have a couple of bad quarters, but that doesn't change our strategy. And I've felt that, seen that happen at Insulators where, like I said, we went through a very tough patch, but I always had the support that, look, go on. So I think the longer term view is the first one. Second is just respect for people. It's a place which cares. Right from Mr. Birla, I've interacted with Mr. Birla, Rajshri ji, Ms. Nirja Birla, the kids, who are now getting into the business. I think all of them, the humility and respect for people around is just out of this world, right? I think, you at times feel embarrassed interacting with them because they are so humble. And I think that to me is that respect for people flows through. You may have some aberrations here and there, but by and large, that respect for people and talent is something which is very prevalent. And I think the third is, it's a very diverse group. You get to try and do different things. We have old school businesses, new school businesses, like jewelry and paint just starting off. You have something in Southeast Asia, something in India, something in America. So I think the diversity it offers is just fantastic. So if you're willing to stay connected and make things happen, you can move around. And mine is a great example, just to give you a sense of scale. So my first 10 years was a consultant where I frankly, I advise people, but I didn't do anything myself, right? 5 years was as an advisor to chairman, which is also pseudo consulting. Then I went on to head a 600 crore business for 5 years, right? Today I head a 60,000 crore business, right? That's the journey and that's the bet the group has taken, and I'm hopefully doing a good job still.
Let's have a huge round of applause for that. You have stepped into different leadership roles, right, throughout your career. How does your first 90 days look like? I'm sure if you have to give some advice to someone, what are the first things that they should do as a leader, or probably not do as a leader when they are probably initially stepping in that role?
So I think, the best advice I got, and I think it still holds true, is when you go into a new role, don't be too eager to prove yourself from day one. Right? So actually when I joined ABG, one of my mentors from McKinsey told me, look Rohit, they have already decided to hire you. So unless you are a complete flop, they won't change that decision in the first 90 days, right? So use the first 90 days to understand and get a feel of the organization, right? Listen to people. You should be listening more than you're talking, right? A lot of people actually flip it around and say, oh, I have to prove that I was the right choice, right? So you're like, and you don't listen, you don't observe. So I think the first 90 days, one, you should observe and listen and absorb the place. Second, I think you have to figure out the skills different people bring. So, like I said, finally, business is a team sport. You have to, as a leader, you have to be able to figure out who can contribute where, and hence, what is the area that you need to spend time on. The advantage I had was I had no functional expertise, right, except for maybe strategic thinking. Where anyway it's not a day-to-day function, right? So it was okay. So I had no functional expertise, and hence I was not trying to compete with any of my colleagues on that functional expertise. If someone was good in finance, he would anyway know more than me, so I'm happy taking their advice. If someone was good in manufacturing, they would be better than me anyway, so I'm okay taking their opinion on things. And I think that ability to gauge your team and look at their strengths and play to their strengths, and fill in wherever the gaps are is what I think is very important when you make that shift from individual player to a leader or a manager.
Staying in one role for a long time and versus somebody who is chasing that agility, that's fast pace by moving different roles in organizations. What are some pros and cons according to you? And what might some fast movers miss if they were to keep learning and experimenting in the same trajectory for a very long time?
This notion of looking for jobs versus careers is an important one, which, look, everyone will have their own view on what is best for them. I've always been a career man, not focused on jobs. Because, jobs, when you look at it from a individual move perspective may sound good, but overall the puzzle then doesn't fit together. So I'm more of a career thinker of saying, look, build your career and things will fall in place. Keep making enough dots, somewhere they will connect. I'm today heading the copper business. The study which I did in Africa in 2006 was copper. Okay, no link to this thing, but when I took on this role, I knew the industry because of that one study I did. Don't overthink is one advice I would have, because no job is perfect. Build your careers. All of us, and by the way, I am not saying I have not fallen into that trap, but this trap of trying to move fast to show you are growing and you are doing better than your batchmates is a useless philosophy to follow. The only person it hits you and impacts you negatively is you, right? Life is not a race. Enjoy the quality of life. Like I said, one of my main reasons of having or leaving McKinsey to get to ABG was lifestyle and time with family. So don't be in this unnecessary race of saying I have to get this next promotion within 2 years and what will happen? My career is falling flat. It's okay. Like organizations like us, we test people's resilience and commitment, right? If we think someone is ready for a job, we may say, okay, let's wait for a year and see really if that person is really up for it, and is he really committed and loyal to the company, and we'll take the decision after 1 year, right? We test people at times, and many people, some people decide, oh no, organization is bad, they don't grow me, I'm so good, but those are individualistic players. So I feel it's okay. This next 2 years of an MBA should be the last time you are getting into a race. Please, after that, get out of that race, live your lives, and do good work. Enjoy what you're doing. That's more important. Growth will happen automatically.
Okay, guys, the floor is yours.
Hi. So my question is regarding to the when we go into the corporates, right? There are politics involved in it, right? And when we basically do a leadership program, we have to basically think more kind of not in a self-centric way, but for the people benefits as well. So how are you gonna balance at that position where you're gonna think about for yourself as well and for your team members as well?
So look, politics is everywhere. At home there is politics. In your friend circle there is politics. At campus there is politics, and at work there is politics.
How to balance both?
So the approach I have followed is I trust people very easily. Okay, I give them the benefit of doubt. I say, look, I will trust you till you break my trust. So I don't waste time speculating on यार ये इसके लिए ऐसे कर रहा बोल रहा है, and he's trying to this thing. So I think that has helped me a lot. Yes, my trust has been broken a few times, but 90-95% of the time, it works. So I think one is, if you are honest and you are clear, politics doesn't impact things so much, in my view. Second is, look, you in your mind you have to get out of this insecurity complex. As Indians, many of us still have this deep insecurity and scarcity mindset that we are fighting for something. Even the last 10-15 years, one of the things that I have followed in my mind is, look, I will do the best I think there is or I can do. I will be open to taking inputs from people, who has a view on what I'm doing. And if things don't work out, I will go and find some other job. So I always say, keep a resignation letter in my pocket to say, look, if things don't work out, I'll go and find something else, right? One thing which I always know is if I leave ABG with this experience, I'll always get something which pays me more. So money is not an issue, right? But that then just brings a very strong conviction to just go with what you think is right and make a difference. So the third one, I've always focused around saying, what am I giving to the organization? With the belief that if I give good enough, in due course, the right recognition will come, right? So in my 14 or 15 years at ABG, I've had conversations on my salary or promotion only twice. And they were not conversations, they were just telling once to Mr. Birla and once to our HR head, saying, look, I think I've been in this role for a long time, do think about it if you think I deserve it. Right? And I just left it at that and I didn't follow up. And something happened after some time, it was okay. Right? So I think at least I have been on this give mindset. Once you are giving and you think you have abundance, then this politics and all fades away here. People also realize that is no nonsense person, don't waste time trying to play politics around it.
Hello, sir. My name is Sadant. I'm joining MICA. My question to you was, like you said, you went from handling a 600 crore business to 60,000 crore business. So what is the difference in the timeline, like from 100 to 500 and 500 to 10,000 probably and 10,000 to 60,000? How is it different handling that scale of a business? I wanted to know your experience.
At one level, it is, you are still handling the same set of functions. There's a manufacturing involved, there's a marketing involved, there's public advocacy which is there is finance. So you have all those elements which are all common. But the big difference is there is a bit of, I would say, responsibility that, at this scale, you can't go too wrong, right? So in insulators, like I said, if I made a mistake, it won't make an impact to the group. Here, if I make a delta, it will have a reasonable impact on the stock price and on the group. So you're a little more conscious. But having said that, I think, look, the principles don't change. The scale changes. The second thing is, here, I have a very large and senior team. So the responsibility I have to ensure I leverage their skills best is much higher than, let's say, my first role where I could spend a lot more time on the ground. So your ability and your capability to build your intuition on the business right is much more important here, because you will not be at the ground for everything, right? You can have a sense, but there's too large a business to be there everywhere. So you have to build your own sense of intuition on what the business should be focused on.
Just to follow up, is it difficult to, delegate it to someone else and lose control?
No. Like I said, I'm not an expert in anything, so I love delegating or empowering. Actually, important, a lot of people end up delegating. I like to use the word empowering because the responsibility is still yours. So delegation is I've asked someone to do it. Now, if they make a mistake, I'll catch hold of them. But empowering is I have not just given them the decision, but I am helping them ensure that they take the right decision. So I am giving them the help so that they are empowered to take the right decision in the right way. And that, I think, once you get that going, then you have a lot more free time. Like Mr. Birla said in one of his sessions, what keeps you up at night? And he says, look, I work hard in the day so I can sleep peacefully in the night. right? I follow the same that, look, we'll do what best we can. I have a great team. I have to ensure that I can leverage their potential, full potential. And, then what happens. We will not over worry on it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am Shashank Tiwari. I'll be joining XLRI Jamshedpur this year for my MBA. My question to you, because you addressed this point, was that you waited for, you spoke about your promotion or increment only twice in your career. You kept that trust to, you also tested people if they stay in the organization or if they are ready for the next step by delaying their promotions for a year or something like that kind of thing. But from an employee point of view, how do you understand that maybe you are being tested and you wait for that? Because in my current role, I also felt that I was not awarded for what I deserved from my perspective.
All of us feel that way. You ask anyone secretly, all of them will say, I'm much better than what others think of me, right? And by the way, look, I'm also an employee today, right? And look, this is what, if you know people are just testing you and waiting for a year for you, then it's not really a test, no? So sometimes I think this is what tests your character, I feel. Sometimes you want to look at people and their character under tough or adverse situations, because that tells a lot about how they truly are. Okay. When things are going well, everyone is great, right? But it's when things are bad that you really get a sense of the character, and sometimes these are ways in which you test how people perform in a tough situation. Like I said, one of the maybe the reasons why I got such a big role after Insulators was that, look, I did those 5 years with full commitment and made a difference despite a tough environment, and hence they said, okay, let's test him now on a much bigger scale.
I am Prathamesh Satam and I'll be joining Bitsom. So my question, being a lateral myself, since I'm not eligible for the LEAP program, so does that really make a difference? Because people are in a rotational 3-month stints, but since you have been more than a decade, so what do you see people who have completed the LEAP program and who are lateral entrants, does that make a difference in the long term? And does that 3-month stints hinder growth or something like that?
No, so look, the LEAP program obviously is structured to provide a little more curated and accelerated growth path for talent. So that, of course, is a great program and is very closely monitored and driven centrally until a certain stage in the career. Having said that, look, laterally also, if you are good, you may not make it, right? I think like I'm a very good case study who came from outside, who knew no one in the group when I came. And I've built my networks well, and I've stayed connected with different businesses right from day one. So I think if you are good and you are connected, or you connected in the sense that you are reaching out to people for different things, I don't think you will be disadvantaged. You may not get the curated help like ABGLP, but you can still grow fairly well.
Awesome. Guys, please let's have a huge round of applause.